We've had a lot of descriptions of different items that are going to be placed in the tabernacle, as well as the clothing of the priest and the anointing process. And then we had the anointing oil, and then we had the incense and the altar of incense. So we've got the descriptions of all the necessary items at this point in time. But who's going to build this thing? Exodus 31:1, and the Lord said to Moses, 31:2, see, I have called by name Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. 31:3, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom and ability, in understanding and intelligence, and in knowledge, and in all kinds of craftsmanship. In the previous several chapters, we saw many descriptions of different items to be placed inside the tabernacle, and their construction and how they are to be made. Gold, silver, bronze, acacia wood, linen, different forms of leathers, all needed to make this tabernacle in its completeness. Here we have the description of a master craftsman, someone who is blessed by God and will possess the ability to make some of this stuff. We do not read of a man who was in Egypt and worked as a mason there, building structures, or an esteemed blacksmith that specialized in forging, or a silversmith, or a goldsmith. We did not read of someone who mastered their craft in Egypt would be granted the permission to make these holy relics. No, we see a man who was taught by God, by divine ordinances, to be granted the ability, the privilege to make these great things. Exodus 31:4, to devise skillful works, to work in gold and in silver and in bronze. 31:5, and in cutting of stone for setting, and in carving of wood, to work in all kinds of craftsmanship. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be made, and he seems to be skilled enough to accomplish this. But it is far too much work for one to do alone. Exodus 31:6, and behold, I have appointed with him Oholiab, son of Ahisamah, of the tribe of Dan, and to all who are wise-hearted I have commanded wisdom and ability to make all that I have commanded you. It's pretty cool how God is assigning these two guys to work on all these tasks. You think about it, when it comes to the crafting, making things, building stuff, forging things, whatever it is, or an artist, as an artist paints, there's always that magnus opus, that like life work, the best thing that they ever do. And here we go, we have these guys here working on making the tabernacle, one of the most important things ever to be created and exist on the face of the earth. And that's just pretty cool. Exodus 31:7, the tent of meeting, the ark of the testimony, the mercy seat that is on it, all the furnishings of the tent. 31:8, the table of the showbread, and its utensils, the pure lampstand with all its utensils, the altar of incense. 31:9, the altar of burnt offering with all its utensils, the lavier and its base. Exodus 31:10, the finely worked garments, the holy garments for Aaron, the high priest, and for his sons to minister as priests. 31:11, and the anointing oil and incense of sweet spices for the holy place, according to all that I have commanded you shall do. A lot of this chapter so far has just been a summary of what we've seen previously in the last several chapters. as far as the creation goes of all these wonderful things to go inside the tabernacle. Exodus 31 and 12. And the Lord said to Moses, 31 and 13, say to the Israelites, truly you shall keep my Sabbaths, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I, the Lord, sanctify you, set you apart for myself. You almost wonder if it's a coincidence that we have the description of making all this stuff, doing all this work, and then moving into the discussion of the Sabbath. Exodus 31 and 14. You shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy to you. Everyone who profanes it shall surely be put to death, for whoever does work on the Sabbath shall be cut off from among his people. 31 and 15. 6 days may work be done, but the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, sacred to the Lord. Whoever does work on the Sabbath day shall surely be put to death. So we have the Sabbath day outlined again. We've seen this show up before when we were looking at the Ten Commandments, as well as several other locations. It's a recurring theme throughout the Old Testament, I guess in the new one as well. The Sabbath is not the easiest thing to do. For one, it's hard to take a day off and not do any work on it. Sounds incredibly easy, but it's very hard to do. We have these people here out in the wilderness, they're wandering around, they don't really have permanent dwellings, and maybe there's laundry that needs to get done, or they need to fold up a tarp, or do whatever. They're not really supposed to do any of that stuff. That would be breaking the Sabbath. There's all these work to be done. And it would be hard to be like, well, we can't do that today. We got to wait till tomorrow. So it would be very challenging that way. And even in our modern time and modern society, it would be difficult to do as well. It's so easy to get sidetracked and accidentally start working at something. Another aspect to the Sabbath is making other people work. So in our modern time, if you were to watch TV or watch a video, it's like, well, people work to make the electricity run, and they work to do whatever it is in the maintenance and the creation process of all these things. So it would be kind of making other people work to simply try to be of leisure. Same with a lot of the other utilities that are in existence as well. And back in this time, maybe you had a servant that looked after laundry or the clothes or some other aspect, or some sort of employee that did something. It would be very easy to get them to do work, but under the Sabbath it is forbidden. You're not allowed to do that. And the other thing that backs up this Sabbath, which is pretty intense, is that the severe penalty that is associated with it here. We have the death penalty for breaking the Sabbath. God's not joking around with this. The Sabbath is very important, and he sets it up for later on. Well, I guess he set it up at the creation of time, but it's just something that's always there when we look at the Israelites, and something that they have to do to separate them from the world, to make them different from everybody else. And when we get to the New Testament, there's a lot of cool stuff about the Sabbath, and if people were joking around and lackadaisical about it back here, we probably would lose a lot of meaning in the future when Jesus came for the first time several thousand years ago, right? You think of the timeline, right? If they didn't keep the Sabbath then, how would they keep it for a couple thousand years after this event here with Moses? So there's something to it that way. It needed to have strict rules to make sure that it was kept sanctified to the Lord for the generations. Exodus 31 and 17. It is a sign between me and the Israelites forever, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he ceased and was refreshed. 31 and 18. And he gave to Moses, when he had ceased communicating with him on Mount Sinai, the 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone, written with the finger of God. So Moses receives all this instruction, all this stuff. You gotta make this, you gotta make that. You get this person here, do. So we have all this event taking place. This is during that 40 days and 40 nights when Moses is on the mountain. He's communicating with the Lord, and they're getting to the end of their conversation. And then as the conversation ends, the Lord writes these tablets. I don't know how long it took for God to write these tablets. I've heard some people say that when he was writing on them with the finger of God, that it would write on both sides of the tablet simultaneously, and that sounds kind of cool. There's this Jewish tradition thing involving that, and how the Ten Commandments, how there's kind of like two different sides to each commandment in the second half, and that if they were written on both sides, then the second half could be on the back side of the tablet and some elaborate stuff like that. I don't know if that's true or not, but well, I know it's a traditional thing. I don't know whether or not that tradition itself is true though. But it's kind of a neat idea, and I do wonder, like, at that writing speed, was it like he wrote it all out in a split second, or was it more of a ceremonial, like slow moving writing, and Moses saw it as the words got engraved on the stone tablets? And that could have been cool as well. It doesn't really matter, I guess. It's such a cool event. You just want to know more about it. And this episode seems kind of short, but the next episode is going to be really exciting. So this is probably where we're going to call it today.